We started Aujas about 4 months ago. We're funded by IDG Ventures, and we're a digital security pure play services company. And the reason why we focused on getting this company started is we did a fair amount of work scanning the market, trying to identify what are the areas where there's a potential opportunity to create a services company. And we felt there's an opportunity to create a pure play security services company based out of India but serving global customers. Given that we think security could be the third wave after application development, maintenance, remote infrastructure management. Security is an area where potentially all the traditional strengths associated with offshoring could be leveraged to build a fairly large global security services company.
Primarily, I'm a telecom professional, and I've done my master's in network security. I've always been fascinated by security, and also as part of my professional engagement, I did a lot of work in wireless security. In fact, some of my patents are in this area. So naturally, this is the first area that I thought when I started thinking about application.
I think fundamentally there are 3 or 4 key issues which I guess would be top of mind for most CIOs and CISOs. Broadly, I think you could categorize them as one is compliance, right? Compliance, governance, and so on. Second would be data security. Third would be business continuity, and fourth would be cybercrime. Right? I think these are the 4 issues which would be probably top of mind, and for which they're looking for solutions and services and products and so on.
That's a very interesting area, and in fact, I think a lot of the security concerns are kind of getting driven by that concept. Primarily the rise of wireless in multiple formats, whether it's CDMA, GSM, or Wi-Fi. Also, WiMAX, Bluetooth, you just name it. And another interesting trend, it's kind of latched on to this, is the mobile payment. The primary concern in that area would be, the network kind of gets blurred. So the original or traditional aspect of network security in terms of securing the perimeter and entry points becomes much harder because hackers and the cyber criminals will kind of have access to internals of the security. As Srinivas explained the trends, if you try to look at it in another way, it's basically moving from network-centered hacking to internal hacking, which could be, application as well as internally who has access to applications which basically network security cannot block. And the second would be more from hobby hacking to cyber professionals, criminalization of the industry. And third is the software security as a hacking tool itself. So these borderless networks are kind of aiding all 3 aspects of hacking trends as well. Okay, in fact, today RBI released a guidelines about mobile payment. In fact, RBI is considered mobile payment in a very broad way, including your Citibank alerts or things like that, where the bank just sends the information. You're not doing any transaction. There's no money transfer involved. RBI even classifies them as payment applications. And it has come up with a series of technology guidelines, including a particular framework in terms of how to secure that. A lot of emphasis is put both on encryption and communication aspect of it, as well as software itself. Because recent trends, the famous TJ Maxx case or Hannaford case, show that data at source is much more important than external controls are equally important.
So essentially, what we believe, going back to the 4 issues which I said are top of mind, right? Our focus will be starting with helping organizations put together governance, risk management, and compliance frameworks. So we are building a practice called GRC, right, which is to plan, deploy, manage, and review that framework. We put a lot of focus on management, because one of the challenges which we see with a lot of companies is how do they manage controls related to security on an ongoing basis. And we believe our focus in that area will help make a significant difference. So that would be a key area. The second area would be identity and access management, where we believe today, given the several digital identities one has, right, both as an individual as well as when you're working inside an organization, managing that becomes a critical issue. And it's also very closely linked to governance, which is the first area which we're going to focus on. The third area which we're going to focus on is software and application security. And here I make a small difference between distinction in terms of what's the difference between software and application security. Typically, people think when you say application security, it means application scanning for vulnerability. Whereas we believe that is essentially a very reactive way of looking at things, which is to find out post building the application that there are a certain number of vulnerabilities which now need to be rectified before the product is released to the market. Product or customized application is released to the market. Whereas what we are looking at is focusing on the entire life cycle, starting with how you architect, how you design, how you build code, right? Review, test, and so on. So our approach is a life cycle approach to software and application security, as opposed to just a point application scanning from a vulnerability standpoint. So these are the three principal areas. But we'll also focus on vulnerability management, okay, which is essentially managing threats, right, and mitigating threats from a security standpoint.
All right, thank you so much. And for everybody's benefit, Rao and Manjula are on the site. You can add them as your friends and you can send your comments or feedback to them. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks.